life's changed dramatically.
Nothing you can do about it.
Well, obviously having 3 kids who normally go to school at home couldn't be a bigger effect.
I know people are very frustrated and finding it really difficult, but I'm not really, because I work from home quite a lot. Well, I'm a social worker and I do assessments mostly, and so I do work for a couple of local authorities and I travel around, so that's kind of different. But when it comes to like the writing of the work, I do it at home anyway, so I'm kind of used to it, if you like.
Tell us, how are you feeling about lockdown at the moment?
Well, it's certainly disrupted my life. All the things I used to do during the week have disappeared. So as I was just saying, I find it difficult to remember what day it is now.
Well, not to feel this, you lock down, that's it.
Well, I'm very pleased that the weather's so beautiful and that it's springtime and it's a chance to get outside more than I normally do. And I've got 3 kids and we're trying to get them out every day. Luckily we've got a garden, so we've been able to do that. So I think at the moment it's fine, and obviously at times it's been difficult with 3 kids in the house and just managing everything, and we're both working from home, so we're juggling a lot.
How has lockdown affected you in your life?
Well, I think it's very easy to get quite depressed, because I'm used to being out the house quite a lot and doing a lot of things, and suddenly my life has closed down and there's a feeling of claustrophobia. I mean, I'd planned to do a load of spring cleaning and I'm looking at it and it's looking at me and I'm thinking, why should I bother? You know, which is negative thinking. But yeah, it's hugely disruptive, and I guess we're all adjusting to it, but nobody actually wants it to continue forever.
In general, the sense of people worried about their jobs and trying to juggle so that they can keep their jobs and at the same time manage to look after themselves and their kids. I think it really hasn't been, that side of it hasn't really been acknowledged, the degree to which that's a major issue.
At the moment, I manage a fostering recruitment team, so it's having quite a significant impact on fostering. So there's a real shortage of foster carers, because some people who might have, well, there are many reasons, but lots of foster carers are struggling to, you know, they're worrying about their own families and therefore not wanting to foster at the moment, or they're being very particular about the children that they take, and that's having an effect on young people. There of course will be young people that are refusing to social distance. You know, these kids have had dreadful backgrounds and they don't understand you know, it's all very different for them, so they're not prepared to sort of stay in. So a lot of people are then asking children to leave placements. That's really difficult.
One good thing is actually coming up here and being out in the fresh air, plenty of exercise and doing something useful like planting vegetables. They're all going to be very, very short of, I think, over the coming months. So yeah, it's constructive and it's fresh air and it's exercise at the same time.
Yeah, obviously it's really changed all our social relationships, and so I'm actually in a way in more contact with some people than I have been for quite a long time. So that's really nice. Obviously it's all on Zoom, and so it's brought new relationships, which is really nice, and kind of reconnected more distant ones. And our street now has a WhatsApp group like it never did before, so those are definite positives in the immediate. And I think time really to spend without the daily schedule is really nice.
No, I'm just staying in now, you know. I mean, I actually thought this was closed, you know. I was just told yesterday that it was still open.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I just come up today, probably up tomorrow as well, me and the dog. Right, Roxy?
My husband's a lawyer and he is now doing more remote working than he has. He had his first remote working with a prison visit, So on the one hand, that makes things possible that weren't possible before, to a good way, in that he can, to an extent, be in more regular contact with his clients. But the downside is it's obviously really difficult to build trust in that kind of distant meeting, and I worry that it will be used as a, there are benefits to it, but that it will be used as a way of providing less real contact service to people, and that there's that risk that everyone will end up, older people will end up with a TV screen in their room and someone talking to them rather than someone there, and that people in prison will have their lawyers only, and will never leave prison to go to court or to leave the room to go to see their lawyer, and those are examples that could be happen in many areas, and that's obviously really a problem.
I like to keep my distance anyway. That's the way I have an allotment,
Is there anything else you'd like to add on the experiences of lockdown, or any positive experiences you've had?
Positive. I'm far more in touch with my friends. I seem to spend a hell of a lot of time looking at messages and on the telephone, far more than usual. I might not be seeing them, but we are communicating a lot more. Plus, the number of people who offer to help. There's a lot of community cohesion, which is really nice. A lot of people out there who want to do shopping and just, chatting to people who are in lockdown. And I find that very encouraging. It's brought out the best in a lot of people, the worst in a few. But I think the balance, it's brought out more good than bad.
How do you feel life will be like after lockdown?
I think there will be there will be kind of opposing forces about people, I would say the government and people that really want us back with our noses to the grind as soon as possible. There'll be that idea that we all have to pull up our socks, and that maybe even there might be an idea that we should go through austerity again or something like that. I think that it won't be possible to do that again this time round like it was done before, but I think that those will be forces in two directions of people saying that you can't do that to us, and that it is actually then also an opportunity to really reappraise what's possible, and that we as in the left lost the election, but in a very odd way, some of the debates and some of the things that people wanted from that are now being brought in kind of by the back door because of COVID, and it shows that when the government wants to put money into things, they can, and we want that money.
Then again, it's hard to say again, what I mean? Could be worse, could be bad, God knows. God only knows.
It's hard to imagine, actually. I think what's going to happen is sort of a phased relaxation, and they're going to try and keep the oldies in, basically, and let the young ones out. But I saw a statistic online today that said estimated only 10% of the population had COVID-19. Asymptomatic or whatever, and that's quite a disappointingly small percentage in many ways. I'd hoped that a lot more people had it and were now immune. So I think if that's true, and that's what government thinks, then I think we're going to be in lockdown for a while, and the pressure's only going to come off selectively and gently.
Well, I suspect that it will be forgotten about, because I think that people have amnesia quite quickly. So the things that I like the way that it's brought out this kind of community way of behaving, that people are thinking about members of the community and checking in on them and that kind of stuff, and I hope that they can remember that after this, but I suspect that may not be the case, because people soon get into their back to old habits, don't they? So things like I have asthma quite badly, and my asthma has never been so under control as it has been the last 2 weeks. So things like no aeroplanes in the sky, I'm loving that. Less cars on the streets, I'm loving that. And my lungs are really liking it. So usually, I have to take steroids. I'm sort of taking about half the amount I usually do, and no reliever at all for about 2 weeks. So it's had some really positive effects as well as negative. I love the way everybody's appreciating public services and nurses. I find it kind of contradictory because I can't believe that, just a few months ago they voted against the National Health Service and against public services, and now they're out on the streets clapping. And I find some of that a bit nauseating because I think those people this is just because they're so pleased that people are helping them. And within months it'll be, next year maybe, or maybe it will take a little bit longer. Within a few years it'll be, why should I pay more council tax? I haven't got any kids, or I'm not sick, and they'll be back to that. So I find some of it, I'm taking quite a world view about it, a larger perspective from it, and some of it I find kind of, ironic, and but. We'll see. I wouldn't like to predict because, as I say, it would be lovely to think that some of these things will continue. But I suspect the people that are going out and doing that stuff kind of think like that anyway.